Well, the fate of marriage equality in New York State is still up in the air. New York senators remain behind closed doors at the Capitol, haggling over language in the bill, although insiders say there has been some progress. Now, what hangs in the balance are the votes of Republican lawmakers, some of whom remain on the fence about whether or not to approve it. And one of them is State Senator Gregg of Putnam County, and he joins me now. Senator, it's good to have you on the show this morning. We do appreciate your time, and I want to get straight to this. Why the lingering indecision on your part? What's the trouble here?
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to be able to read a bill before you pass final judgment. We still don't have that final bill language. And I've asked very early on, and we are dealing from the extreme left on this issue. We're not talking about civil unions. We're talking about full marriage equality. And to that extent that the governor wants to push that agenda, I believe that we've got to make sure that we have strong religious protections in that bill. And to this day, we still don't have that final language. So I know a lot of Tea Party rallies talked about read the bill during the health care debate. And I think it's extremely important to be able to actually do that and digest something before you say you're going to vote one way or the other.
You say religious institutions need protection. Aren't they already protected?
I'll tell you what, there are three basic categories. I mean, you have religious institutions, and there are protections, actually pretty good protections in the bill language that we saw over a week ago. But one of the problems is there's a loophole where they talk about religious corporations and not churches or religious institutions themselves. And it's not the institution that marries, it's the individuals. So what we would like to see is not only protections for the religious corporations under New York state law, but also for the individuals themselves and religious organizations, benevolent organizations. The other point is that many of these religious organizations are incorporated under not-for-profit law, and those were not protected under the governor's bill. So, you know, we have seen what has happened in other states, and I think that it's extremely important to have a common sense conversation. I mean, there are those on the extreme right who don't even who reject civil unions at hand, and there are those on the left who do not appreciate those on the right. So, and I tell you, for the past 2 weeks, being able to watch this debate, it's been pretty compelling, not in a great way. Right. There's a lot of hate on both sides. There are those on the extreme left who don't understand that those on the right believe that this is an affront to their strongly held religious beliefs, and those on the right who don't understand that those on the left view it as a civil rights issue. And as a representative a senator who represents over 300,000 people, you know, you got to listen to all sides of the argument.
Absolutely, and I want to talk about that because not right or left is the latest Quinnipiac poll, and the numbers suggest that there's a lot of support for this measure to pass. This done by New Yorkers. Voters overwhelmingly in this survey say that they back legalized marriage between same-sex couples, 58% in favor. I know that you took to your Twitter account to ask people to tweet you and solicit opinions from your constituents. But is it your political opinion that gays and lesbians deserve less rights than are afforded to you?
Look, I would say I have a very strong record. As a former Air Force captain, Air Force Academy graduate, I was ranker in the New York State Assembly on Veterans Affairs. I came out very early on against Don't Ask, Don't Tell and asked for a full repeal. I have a strong gay rights voting record, and I understand, as a young leader who's 33 years of age, I can tell you I can look at this issue, and I truly understand both sides. I'm also a Catholic. I have a priest on my staff. Grew up in a very German-Irish Catholic household, but also some of the best people I served with in the United States military were homosexual. You know, they call me on this issue, many of my friends. So I understand both sides, and I think that regardless of what happens, because you know, the governor's pushing marriage equality, and I think that regardless of what happens, we need to make sure that there are strong religious protections in that bill that we haven't seen afforded in other places. Nobody wants to see Catholic adoption agencies being opened up to lawsuits. Nobody wants to see a Knights of Columbus being opened up to a lawsuit. So some of these issues are very tough to deal with. The needle's very tough to thread on the issue of individuals with religious objections.
But do you think that you're playing
core of other issues that can and should be addressed?
Political hot potato with the people's rights? And do you recognize also the political power that you have right now to combat homophobia in this country?
Tom, I mean, I can tell you this. I mean, from your perspective, from what I get, you view it as a civil rights issue. I can tell you that there are those in my base, and I've been through some very tough elections, who view it as a direct affront to their strongly held religious beliefs. And they've been with me when nobody else was through some very horrific elections. And you know, when I'm out in the community, they're like, you know, why don't you just come out and just say absolutely no? I believe that as an elected official, you have got to listen to your community. And regardless of where this issue goes, I feel very strongly about making sure that those religious religious protections are in there. And I've said that without them, I'd be an absolute no. And I can tell you that I don't speak for the conference. I'm not the majority leader. I don't make the big bucks. But individual members are really making decisions based on conscience. Some of these Republican senators have already come out. They're making political decisions that may end their political careers, and ones who vote in the future may be ending their political careers. But at the end of the day, I can say to a member that this is not a political discussion. It really is one of conscience, and you got to balance competing interests.
Senator Ball, we wish you luck as this moves forward. Do you think it's going to come to a vote tonight, maybe tomorrow?
You know, I can't speak to that, but I can say as an individual, I think it will come to the floor. And at the end of the day, it's up to the governor now to get serious about those religious protections and really try to build a larger, more moderate coalition if he wants to get it done as he says he does.
Sir, we will let you get back to work. State Senator Gregg Ball, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure.
All right, I'm also joined now by New York City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, a longtime advocate for gay rights. Speaker Quinn, it's great to have you here this morning. As you heard there, what Senator Ball was saying, what is your reaction to what he is saying is the hang-up here with religious protections being needed?
Well, I believe if you look at the law that the Assembly has historically passed, and you look at other states, and you look at the state's gay rights law and human rights law, there are clear religious exemptions. This bill, when it's passed into law, would not require one church, one synagogue, one mosque to hold a same-sex wedding, nor could they be sued for saying no. We want to have in this bill what we have always had, a clear separation of church and state. I may disagree with some religious leaders' perspectives, but absolutely they have the right to that perspective, and they have the right in their religious institution to say what goes and what doesn't go. So no one wants to step on that, but we're talking about here moving human rights forward in the state. You can do both. There have been lots of discussions about how to get the language right, and I think everybody wants to get that language right.
You point out that this has been passed by the Assembly. This is the fourth time that the Assembly has moved this forward. The governor saying that he didn't feel that it would be coming for a vote if he didn't think that he was optimistic about getting it through. What are you hearing out of Albany?
Look, we are one vote away. And most people would have said you're not going to get 29 Democrats. We did. Most people would have said those Democrats are not going to stand up before we have a vote scheduled, and they did. And then of their own accord, and as Senator Ball said, led by their conscience, 2 Republicans came out and said, we're going to vote for this. We are just one vote, a stone's throw away. Most pundits would have said we were never going to get this close. So I really believe this close, with Governor Cuomo's full attention on this, we are going to get over the finish line before the end of this legislative session, and do it in a way that recognizes religious institutions can't and shouldn't be forced to do what they don't believe is right. I
know on Monday night that you had the opportunity to speak at the LGBT Community Center's annual garden party at Pier 54 here in Manhattan. What is the reaction to people that you're hearing in and around the city, knowing that this is moving forward, that there is the possibility that equality on the marriage front might become a reality in this state?
People are unbelievably excited. They're really, really excited, and they're kind of on pins and needles, you know what I mean? They want, their hopes are up, but they don't want to let them go too high, but they really are thrilled. And I just think, I wish senators who haven't yet made up their mind could meet some of these folks. You know, there were 2 men at that party that night who proposed to each other. They'd been together over 20 years. The thought to them that it could be legal and recognized by their home state, you can't describe the difference that makes to people. And that's what senators need to understand. Senator Ball's right. This isn't about politics. It's about people's lives and this great state of New York, sending a message that every family is good, every family is in fact a gift from God, and they all deserve the same civil recognition. It will really put our state back in the place we have always been, leader in human rights, when this happens, and that is the right place and the only place this state should be.
I know, as we pointed out, you have been a longtime advocate for LGBT rights, as has Mayor Bloomberg. I need to ask you, though, are you going to be running for mayor come 2013?
Did my father give you that question? That was
no, I made this one up on myself.
You know, who knows? I'm very busy now being the speaker, and love the position, and the future will hold whatever it holds.
You can keep going. Keep going.
You might just get the same answer over and over again.
All right, but if you do make a determination, we'd love to invite you back and have you tell us right here.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
Speaker Quinn, great to see you. Thanks so much for your time this morning, and we'll continue to watch this out of Albany for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.